This is in a reference to a Facebook post I have just below this one. If you're seeing this on YouTube, there's a link to my Facebook page there. Now I'm going to have to start back at the beginning because this is 2 outreach workers that were trying to come and see me yesterday. 2017, the fall, I was asked from the Holy Spirit through the wordless language, I don't hear or see nothing, if I wanted to go on a spiritual journey to find my true authentic self. I researched it for a month. My mind was shattered back then. Everybody knew it's shattered since I'm 2 months old. After I got baptized, I was supposed to get baptized on a Sunday. I got baptized on a Friday. They called me in early. The church was full of children. The Holy Spirit wanted to announce to the world, to these low world rulers, to the archons, this is one of the workers. So they kicked me in the head when I was a child. I went to school. I was half in the days all the time. So I wasn't able to absorb the true teachings. And they were only teaching people. Schools are just there to condition people to be more receptive to witchcraft and sorcery later on in life. But anyways, researched it for a month, agreed to it. January 29, 2018, I started living in my van. Learned a lot of stuff in the last 8 years doing that. You can see in the post below. January 10th, 2026, I went out on the streets. The Holy Spirit wanted me out there. Nobody can say you don't know what it's like. Yeah, I do know what it's like to be out on the streets. Sore all the time, my shoulders and stuff. I was sleeping on concrete for the first 2 months or so. First time I slept outside in the grass, I'm thinking, wow, is this ever soft? I slept like a baby all night. Before I used to sleep like a baby, but cried all night kind of thing, but I never cried. It was like welcoming an old friend living outside. But anyways, I refer to the movie Big Stand. It's a comedy because people are all wondering, like, really? It's soft outside out there on the grass? Yeah. Big Stan was supposed to go to jail because of fraud or whatever. He gets this guru to teach him mixed martial arts. That guru just feeds him crappy food, the grossest food. You go watch that movie. But anyways, when he goes to prison, first meal he eats, he's like, wow, this is really good. And everybody looks at him, really? Yeah, so this is really soft, really. So I know what it's like. So anyway, so now I'm living outside. Now, 2021 in the summer, I don't trust outreach workers. That's why in that post, the outreach workers came out. Because in 2021, I was changing my driver's license from Ontario to BC. Somebody told me I had to go to CMHA. I went to CMHA on a Friday. They're closed on Mondays and Fridays to the public, but they're still in the office. They were over on Lonsdale in the city of North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Ding-donged on their doorbell. They opened up their door. They were not letting me change my address to theirs. They weren't letting me change my driver's license to their address until the Holy Spirit spoke these key words through my mouth. But I'm in a good place right now. All of a sudden, I'd opened up the doors. Yeah, you can come and see Miriam. I think it was on the Tuesday or something. Whatever it was, next week. I said, can I change my driver's license today? Yes. So I went and changed my driver's license. So now I got to wait for my driver's license to get there. So I'm jumping through their hoops, whatever they're saying. Not whatever they're saying, but going to my visits and stuff. The last visit that I was there, I already had my driver's license at this point. They were offering me food. She was offering me food. But like I said, I've been getting kicked in the head since I'm 2 months old. I wasn't going to eat the food, but the Holy Spirit, I was going to back out. The Holy Spirit says, you're going to have to experience what's inside that food. I said, okay. So then they brought me in the back into their witch's pantry. And the first thing she offered me was some blueberries, grated cheese, all this stuff. She offered me quite several meals worth. And I mixed it all in a bowl, eating it. Some incompatible foods, but I was just swallowing it with water. The worst darkness I've ever felt in my life. Screaming out on the streets. So when people are out on the streets screaming and all that, they're being given noxious substance. I've experienced what they're experiencing. So then, January 2022. It seems like January, a lot of things happened for me. But anyways, January 2022, the Holy Spirit removed those veils of darkness off of me that I've had since I was a baby. It says you're no longer subject to their shenanigans. So now I've learned lots of stuff after that. January 10th, 2026, that's when I've been living outside. March 22nd, I started living on this tricycle over here. It's like a pack mule. Everybody sees that I'm homeless, But you don't have to be dirty to be homeless. Just because people have shattered minds, that's why they're exactly the way it is. Some people are in apartments, houses, and they're filthy. But anyways, so now I'm living out on the streets. They got all the land. They own crown land, city land, private land, all kinds of land. You can't camp nowhere. You can't go in the parks, displacing everybody. You can see where those two RCMPs, they had just put on their black gloves, and they were trying to push this person out of their private property. They were on a call, and as soon as I said, how would you like it if Yeshua was here and told Jews to leave off this earth, they abandoned their call. They abandoned their call with their tails between their legs, not for me, but for Yeshua, fear of Yeshua. So now, those outreach workers were coming out to try to push me out of this spot. Bylaw was just there before trying to do it. That didn't work. So now they're just trying to put keywords in my head, trying to hex me out. But what's these hexings? Like, we're all over the place with this. I'm giving you a lot of information right now. And Buddhist monks would have loved to have that centuries ago, all this stuff that I'm saying. In Revelations, it says witchcraft and sorcery. There's going to be a lot of witchcraft and sorcery in the end times. Witchcraft and sorcery in Greek is pharmakeia. Pharmakeia is the root word for pharmacy, meaning in the end times there's going to be a lot of drugs being manufactured. And you can see, you can go down to your downtown cores, go to your drugstores, go to your coffee shop. They got drugs in the water, fluoride and stuff like that. And these drugs are anchors in your system. We're minds that are consuming with 5 senses. And this is a shout out to Dr. Cam, the dentist. I'm not saying your full name, that's just your short name. You taught me this. I was sent to your office. You injected me with something. You thought it was going to knock me out. You kept coming to look at me, and you were surprised because I'm telepathic. You were surprised, like, why is he still up? Why is he still up? Because you were going to try to put a spell on me. Like Jimi Hendrix song that just popped into my head. But anyways, that didn't work. And now I know that those are anchors, the drugs, for the hexings to attach themselves to. Now, these hexings, Buddha says just before you get enlightened, Mara is going to do these certain things. And when those certain things don't work out, he's going to send his legions of demons with bows and arrows. And when they throw their arrows at you, turn them into flowers. And I used to always wonder, what's these? I thought I was going to see demons, coming out of like the bushes and stuff, like little demons. No, these are the demon-possessed people, and those arrows are chevron shape. And the chevron shape is just a symbol of division, light, darkness, good, evil, male, female, in and out. Because we're in a world of division. We're not even whole. And like Yeshua says, you can't mount 2 horses, you can't pull 2 bows, and you can't serve 2 masters. If you're divided, you're never going to be full. But anyway, so he's going to send his legions of demons, but those are the demon-possessed people, and they're trying to hex you out with symbols, like shapes on their bodies. But like I said, we're minds consuming with our 5 senses. So they have those keywords linked to American Sign Language, ASL, and people will say, well, I don't know ASL. But like I've said before, we're in this shared consciousness, and we have our own personal consciousness. That's why people can be telepathic, because of that shared consciousness. So now they came over with keywords yesterday, and I'll show you 4 of them. I can't show you everything. There's some things people aren't supposed to know. Now they said, we came to see if you need help. See is this, which is a chevron. We came to see if you, because they're pointing at me, but this is like the Freemason's emblem. There's a chevron here and there's a chevron there. See if you, and then need is like the letter X. That's it, trying to hex you out in the ASL. That's why when the coppers try to get the upper hand, that's why they kind of try to hex you out, so you get all jittery inside. I'll get more into it in a second. But need, and then they're clawing down. See if you need, and then this here is the symbol for the flame, Satan or whatever. We're giving it as likes now. It's an occult symbol. See if you need on a platter help. So they're trying to put that to get the upper hand. Like I say, I'm on my spiritual awakening. In 2019, I was given a light the size of a volleyball and told from the Holy Spirit, normally they give out lights this big, which are the size of baseball, but now you're a light giver, like the luminaries, the full ones, not the angels of this world of light and darkness. So now this is not working. They're trying to hex me out. That's why the coppers trying to come and hex you out and stuff like that. And they're trying to push people down. Now I'm going to get a little bit more into a different topic, but it's part of this also. People on drugs and stuff. You go look at your downtown cores, and I don't know if this is happening throughout the world, but I know this is what's happening here in Canada. I've been across this country 12 times during my awakening. I was actually bringing that light and being persecuted from city to city, from fraternities and sororities. And this light is multifaceted, and one of the things that this light is doing, I'm giving it out to everybody. So when those secret societies are coming to push me out, and I'm pushed out, and Yeshua says, you're going to be getting persecuted everywhere I send you. I'm still being persecuted now. But anyways, they're coming out, they're absorbing that light. They have no idea. That light will only be made manifest when Yeshua returns like a flash of lightning, and it's written in scriptures. And that's that flash of lightning. Everybody's getting this light. Everybody will be put in their place. So now they were trying to come and hex me out. Anyways, so now the people are on the street. They're mostly European Canadians. They're trying to get rid of all the Europeans here now. There's like a cull or whatever you want to call it. We're being decimated, and I say we because I'm still in a carcass. I still dress up like a male, but I try to stay as undivided as possible. And there's a new race coming in. Now, hundreds of years ago, whenever the Europeans were coming here, they were just looking for greener pastures. You're being told from the people around you, let's go to Canada. There's whatever it was called back then, I don't know. We're going to go over there. There's a promised land, greener pastures, there's work and there's more food, whatever. So they're coming over here. They have no ill intentions on anything. But what happened over here is that the First Nations and the natives were being displaced. Their way of life, their culture was decimated. By who? Not the Europeans, by the Catholics. And I've said it in the post below that the Catholic is actually half the cult of Mithraism. When Constantine seen that they weren't able to crush the Christians, the true Christians, I guess Satan or the chief commander, the devil or whatever, said, let's mix the two. Let's take the cult of Mithraism, rename it Catholicism, Christianity, and half Mithraism and half Christianity. So everybody can kind of accept it, And that's what happened. And that's why I say the true Christians went into hiding in plain sight into Buddhist monasteries, temples, and on the side of mountains for the last 1700 years. But anyways, so now the Catholics are the ones that did harm to the First Nations and the natives here in Canada that I know of. I don't know any other places. So they're to blame, but that's the darkness that's inside of them because they joined their secret brotherhoods and stuff like that, those Catholics. So now every denomination that came out of Catholicism is actually rooted in Mithraism, and their leader is actually Lucifer, because Mithra is supposed to be the morning star. You go Google it, but Lucifer is the true morning star. He's the light of the world. That's why the darkness of the world is Satan, Santa Claus. I can get into it. Go look at the post below. So now they were decimated. I'm being blamed by the First Nations because of my ancestors. I'm not no human. I'm a light that's stuck in this human. My parents didn't create this carcass. Their carcass created this carcass. Nobody knows how to, I'm going to start making the eyeball in the baby over here. I'm going to start making his nose. You don't create nothing, but you're under the illusion that you are. You're not. So I'm not my ancestors. And now there's a new race coming in. And that's what's happening with the European Canadians, because they have the truth about the true spiritual son that was to be materialized into the world, like Buddha said, and that's Yeshua, Jesus. And it's not their fault. You go to their country, and you know that country. You go look at some videos, and you look around. Would you want to be born there? And you look around the filth that's going on over there, the dirtiness, the poverty. Go see where Mother Teresa was. Don't forget she was Catholic too. But would you want to go to a promised land? And they got campaigns down there saying if you go to Canada, there's going to be work for you. You're going to have an apartment. But where's this work going to come from? If you got to displace all these European Canadians out of the way, and it's not their fault. They're just trying to look for greener pastures, you know. And if you belong to a secret society and you say, well, I'm part of a fraternity or I'm part of a sorority, nothing's going to happen to me. Yeah, they're chopping people down at the bottom. They're going to kick you in the head and you're going to be screaming out on the street. So now when people are out on the street, and I've already said this before, when Yeshua was here 2,000 years ago, he didn't know nothing and he had to experience what the humans experience. Sore feet, hunger, pangs, loss, thirst, all kinds of stuff. So same thing with me. Nobody can say, yeah, but Pierre or Peter, if they want to call me in English, they'll say, you don't know what it's like to live in an RV. You don't know what it's like to live in a vehicle. Yes, I do. You don't know what it's like to live on the street. Yes, I do. I'm living on the streets right now. You don't know what it's like to have a shattered mind, to have all that darkness inside of you. Yes, I do. Like I said, I got kicked in the head by CMHA. That was the worst darkness for 6 months, screaming outside. I know what you guys are going through. So yeah, so there's the whole video I wanted to say. This is what's happening on this earth. They just want us all fighting with each other, because as soon as you start doing atrocities against mankind, like if you put somebody down that they'll never get back up again, I don't want to use certain words, you forfeit your spirit. If you participate in witchcraft and sorcery, you are subject to witchcraft and sorcery. I'll tell you that right now. That's why I'm not participating in that stuff. But anyways, there's that video that I wanted to put out for a while, along with the reference of those outreach workers. Don't trust nobody. You can't trust the food that they're giving you. Can't trust the water that they're giving you. The only thing you can say is, the Holy Spirit, can you just clean out the impurities that are inside this food, unless I have to learn something from it. But if I don't have to learn nothing from it, can you just please remove it? Because I need to eat. I need to drink. Those people are out on the streets. And I told those outreach workers yesterday, they have to eat and they're being given crap all the time. What am I supposed to do? I'll show you some videos of that downtown in Victoria on Pandora Street. They actually got fences just before you go out onto the street from the sidewalk. I guess some people are so whacked out that they just walk right out into traffic. So they had to put those temporary fencing, the ones you rent and stuff. But yeah, but we're here. I'm not going nowhere. I'm still on this vehicle, on this tricycle over here. I'll be making a review of it. And I will be bringing proof of these lower world rulers. We're going to start doing our work. This is the last leg of my journey, my spiritual awakening. Then I'll be fully awake and I will be a worker for the Holy Spirit, manipulating these lower world rulers. But until next time,